Hey everyone, Jonathan Bailor back. Very excited about today's show. Going to talk with one of the world's best experts in a subject that I know is going to hit home for a lot of us, and that is just fatigue. Feeling like we might not have enough energy and what we can do about that. And I tell you, if you've got concerns in this area, there is a short list of people you could talk to, and high on that list is our guest today. His name is Dr. Jacob Teitelbaum, a.k.a. Dr. T. He has written all sorts of best-selling books, such as From Fatigue to Fantastic. You can tell my tongue's getting fatigued here. Pain-Free 1, 2, 3, Beat Sugar Addiction Now, Real Cause, Real Cure. Just so much stuff. He's done all kinds of studies. His research is considered the gold standard in treatment for fibromyalgia. We have none other than Dr. Jacob Teitelbaum with us today. Dr. T, welcome to the show.
Jonathan, great to be with you.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Dr. T. And really quickly, before we get into the problem we're dealing with, because it is quite significant in our country, what led you to specialize in this area?
Well, I got into it the old-fashioned way. I came down with chronic fatigue syndrome with fibromyalgia. I had the drop-dead flu back in 1975 when I was in medical school. And it basically left me bedbound for a good bit, and I had to drop out of med school. I just could not function.
Oh, wow.
And it was through that process that I learned my own way for recovery. I had learned about treating the importance of hormonal problems, the importance of nutritional support, and just a host of other areas. I was able to get myself well. I was able to return to medical school, and have spent the last 35 years teaching about, researching, and helping people with these conditions.
When you say researching, you're not just any researcher. From what I understand, obviously I'm not going to ask you to, toot your own horn too much here, but it's very rare to be speaking with someone who has developed the procedure, which is considered standard of care in that arena, and you fit that bill. Your research is essentially the standard of care, is it not?
Well, there is no standard of care in fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue syndrome. It's a very controversial area. There's some people who still believe just throw a medication and throw some Prozac at it. It's like back in the early days of multiple sclerosis, where they used to call it hysterical paralysis, and even with lupus, where they just told the women they're neurotic. So I'd say the field is too controversial to say that there's any one accepted treatment approach. But this is one of the most accepted treatment approaches, especially for those who specialize in treating people with chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia.
Well, and what is the scope of this problem? I mean, certainly we've all had times when we've felt a little tired, but that's not what we're talking about here. Can you help define what we're actually talking about in terms of severity and then in terms of the number of people who suffer from it?
Well, think about the worst flu you've ever had in terms of how exhausting it is. Mm-hmm. Some people are able to work. Many are bedridden, but even those able to work, that's about all they can do. It consumes all the energy they have. If you remember what it's like to have a toothache, and picture that going all over your body for years, and having the doctors have no clue what's going on with you. The average 32.5-pound weight gain is what you'll see in this disease. So your brain is gone, your body is gone, you have no energy, you're in chronic pain, and the doctors who are too lazy to take the time to figure out what's going on, unfortunately, most are getting past being really just abusive in that way. But it used to be that they would try to convince your family that you were crazy and you that you were crazy because they didn't know what was happening in your case. Fortunately, that's going into the past. Those doctors who have that, I don't know what's wrong with you, so you're crazy, are becoming the exception rather than the rule. And I'm going to tell listeners one thing. If you go into the doctor and they say, I don't know what's wrong with you, you're crazy, tell them, thank you. Give them a hug and say, I really appreciate you letting me know up front that you're a total idiot so I don't waste my time and walk out.
I love it. Yeah, certainly. I love that. Well, Dr. T, just how many people are dealing with this kind of a condition?
Well, you're looking at 2% of the population having the most severe forms of fibromyalgia, 4% of the population dealing with intermediate forms, and 31% of adults complaining that they've been having chronic fatigue lasting for over a month. So this is a major, major problem that affects, frankly, most people. And who do you know who wouldn't want more energy?
Well, and is this, I mean, I'm not the expert here. So is this just like a lifestyle related? Is it genetic? What can we do with our lifestyle to improve it? Can we do anything?
This is very treatable. Our research has shown, using what we call the SHINE protocol, which we'll discuss in just a little bit, 91% of people improve with an average 90% increase in quality of life. So this is very, very treatable. And basically, Jonathan, it's an energy crisis where you've blown a fuse, where your body is spending way more energy than it's able to make. And the area that uses most energy, it's a little major control area in the brain called the hypothalamus, goes offline, just like when you trip a circuit breaker in your home. There's no damage to it, but it basically takes you out of the game until you get rid of what's causing the energy drain. And it can be infections, it can be toxic chemical exposures, toxic spouse exposures, hormonal deficiencies, inflammatory problems. There are literally hundreds of ways that your body can blow a fuse.
Well, and certainly we talk about, here on the show and in my book, we talk about things like nutrition and sleep and exercise and hormones. And what role do those things play in this?
Well, you just listed SHINE.
Oh, excellent.
Sleep is the S in SHINE. And the average night's sleep in the United States, average, until 130 years ago, was 9 hours a night. And then Thomas Edison discovered light bulbs. Once he invented that, we started going downhill in terms of sleep. Now with computers, radio, TV, Facebook, tweeting, and God knows what else, we've taken a 30% pay cut. We're down to less than 7 hours of sleep on average a night. And sleep is critical. If you don't get your sleep, you're going to gain an average of 6 pounds compared to those who get enough sleep and have a 30% higher risk of obesity. It's one of the things that triggers that 32-pound weight gain we see in fibromyalgia.
And Dr. T, that does that have to do with the dysregulation of the hypothalamus? Does it have to do with inflammation in the brain? Like, what's actually happening when we don't sleep enough? Is it just because we're awake longer and therefore we're more likely to eat ice cream, or what's going on?
No, what's happening, again, in fibromyalgia, that circuit breaker, the hypothalamus, is also the sleep control center. And that's why the inability to sleep, even though being exhausted, is the hallmark of this disease. Other causes of fatigue is sleep all day and all night. But what happens is that sleep is where you make growth hormone, which is what turns fat into muscle, and also where you go ahead and make several appetite-controlling hormones, especially leptin would be the key one. So you'll end up having to eat more before you feel full during the day. And this is what contributes to the average 6-pound weight gain in people day-to-day, folks who are just not getting enough sleep.
I think that's such a profound example, Dr. T. I have uncovered much of the same research in researching my next book, and we hear this old dogma that you're just eating too much, and the question is, well, sure, but again, why are we eating that much? And if we've literally broken our brain's ability to tell us when we're full, then just starving yourself while you continue to sleep 5 hours a night is not the right approach, is it?
Absolutely not. And more to the point, Jonathan, we live in a country where we desperately want to find somebody to make the bad guy. It used to be we could turn blacks into being less than, and then we take other people and we want to make them less than us. We want to make them bad. And we can't do that anymore with blacks or if you're different religions and even sexual preferences are getting passed out. But now, we can take people who have chronic fatigue or who are overweight and make believe they have a character defect. They're bad, they're weak, they're slobs, all these different things. And it's part of the nature of our society to do that. It's really nasty. So, again, it may have to do with overeating, but I see people who eat nothing, virtually, and they will be 40 pounds overweight, and I'll see other people skinny as a beanpole that you can't get them out of the freezer chugging down the ice cream. So it's so much more than just eating. It has to do with the metabolism, has to do with the appetite regulation, has to do with all these things. Most of the calories you burn are not during exercise. They're just keeping your temperature at 98.6 when it's 60 degrees outside. And if your body is keeping your temperature at 97 instead of 98.6, it doesn't have to burn as much calories hanging around. You will gain weight.
Well, you mentioned chugging down the ice cream there. Certainly, all this sugar and starch and garbage we're eating can't be helping matters.
Well, sugar drives insulin secretion, and insulin tells your body to pack on fat. So the bottom line is that the average American is pretty much eating their weight in sugar each year. It's 140 to 150 pounds of sugar per person per year that is added into the diet beyond what used to be there 100 years ago. And that's 18% of our calories. And that is one of the major factors driving our metabolism crazy. And the interesting thing is it'll be more common in men that we'll see that if men just stop drinking sodas, they'll often drop 30 pounds. And more so than in women. We don't know why. Men and women are different. But if you treat the metabolism, including getting rid of the sugar, optimizing hormone function, even if the tests are normal, you're going to find that your weight is suddenly able to come down and you're going to feel a whole lot better.
And it sounds like in that scenario, the weight loss really ensues. It's about fixing that hypothalamic system. It's about fixing your central nervous system. It's about fixing your body at a core level. And then it kind of takes care of the rest. I mean, there might be an oversimplification, but am I on the right track?
Absolutely. And to make it simpler than that, if you burn more calories, then you will weigh less. It's that simple. So basically, it's a matter of fixing the metabolism. And the same thing that causes us not to be able to burn our calories efficiently, so if we don't have the energy or fuel, also causes us to pack on the weight. So we'll find a lot of times when you treat to that SHINE protocol, sleep, hormones, especially thyroid and adrenal issues, in men, even testosterone, once they hit what we call menopause in their 50s. Treat the underlying infections, such as candida, which cause people to crave sugar. Give people the nutritional support so they can burn the calories efficiently and effectively, and then get out and exercise. That's SHINE. You're going to find you feel better, your metabolism improves, your weight comes down, so you're going to feel better, your brain's going to work better, and you're going to look better.
And it all focuses on fixing the underlying issue, thinking about your health first. And I'll notice you actually didn't say starve yourself and spend hours on a Stairmaster as part of that regimen.
Well, no, I mean, look at it. If you starve yourself, your body's just going to figure that there's famine. And your body knows what to do with famine. It shuts down the furnaces and says, conserve calories. So it'll work for a couple of weeks, but then your body gets a message, we better make the adaptation. So no. And it is good to exercise more, but like saying, most of the calories you burn don't come from exercise. They come from keeping your temperature at 98.6.
Oh, absolutely.
And, just being awake and what's called basal metabolism. So you do want to exercise, and you do want to clean up the diet in a way that's healthy and tastes good. But I'm going to tell people, avoid sugar, except for chocolate. Chocolate is a health food. Chocolate's more than 3 times more likely to prevent you getting a heart attack than taking these cholesterol medications, for example. So it can be a health food in moderation. So I want people to learn that pleasure is good, but to learn moderation. But I'm going to quote Mark Twain in that too, and he said, moderation in all things, including moderation sometimes. Well, that's okay.
Well, Dr. Teitelbaum, how much, you mentioned they're using a little bit of chocolate or using a bit of cocoa, that which makes chocolate so healthy, to cure what ails us. How much of this, and maybe it varies by severity, can we address without the help of medication, just through lifestyle intervention?
Well, as you said, it has to do with the severity. So if you're going ahead and just getting a good multivitamin, and most of them are not. I like the vitamin powders. There's one that's awesome called the Energy Revitalization System, where instead of 35, 40 pills a day, you just take one drink. If you're getting sunshine, sunshine makes a big difference. The advice to avoid sunshine is insane. And look, Jonathan, when I was a kid, my mom would take and dad would take me to museums, and I still remember there was this skull with a hole cut in it, and they said, and the Aztec medicine men would cut the holes and skulls to allow out the evil spirits. We go, ha ha ha, silly Aztecs, And I figure 50 years from now, we're going to have the medical halls of shame, where you walk in, you see the commercials of the AMA doctor saying, smoke cigarettes, and the next one will say, don't breastfeed, that's barbaric, and I'll have this exhibit that says, avoid sunshine. And I can just picture this little kid tugging on his mommy's dress going, Mommy, were they insane? And the mother would go, yes, dear. So, simple things in lifestyle. Go outside for a walk in the sunshine. Get a good multivitamin. Cut back sugar. Stay hydrated. Make time for sleep. And you make time for sleep by cutting out the things you don't enjoy. If you're watching the evening news or any of the national networks, remember they haven't taught. It used to be sex cells, and now the TV mantra is fear cells. So it's not what today's news is. It's what's today's crisis. What's today's conflict and battle. And as long as it feels good and you're having fun and entertained by it, watch it. But when it starts feeling bad, I'm going to teach you this simple Tai Chi move that will really help restore energy. So when you're watching that kind of stuff on TV, pause, calm, and center. Sweep your arm to the side, grab your remote, point it at the TV, and click off. Hit the comedy channel, So you can make time for sleep, getting rid of those things that you don't enjoy. But here's one key thing, Jonathan, and it's arguably the most important thing. If you are trying to get your energy back so that you can go back to doing a life you hate, your body will shut you down again. Mm-hmm. So we talk about shine to restore energy production. And again, we didn't talk much about thyroid, but low thyroid is a biggie. And most people who need thyroid have normal thyroid blood tests. And we can talk about that if you want. But the key thing is, are you following your bliss? Are you doing the things that you love, that make you feel good? Because if you're doing that, your body will support you by giving you the energy you need. But if you're using your energy to do things you hate, it will support you for a little while. But pretty soon it's going to pull your car over to the side of the road and say, check your bearings. And you're going to say, but we got to get there now. And it's going to say, we're sitting here on the side of the road. Check the GPS again. Where does it want to go? So you want to start listening, not to your brain. Brain's going to tell you what you were programmed as a kid that you needed to do to be a good boy and a good girl. Basically, it was programming you to do what other people wanted you to do. No. Listen to your feelings. If something feels good, that's your psyche's way of saying it's authentic. Mm-hmm. And if you do that, your body will start supporting you with tons of energy.
Well, I love that, Dr. T. I can definitely, I got a little chills there because I can certainly associate with that. I've noticed that we've all had the experience likely where we're not getting a lot of sleep, which is bad. I'm not saying that's a good thing, but we're not getting a lot of sleep because we're engaged in a project that we love. And even though we're not sleeping as much, we're energized. We feel better because we're just rocking and rolling on our project. And then maybe...
And that's okay.
Yeah, and then maybe we were actually getting a lot of sleep, but we're working on something we don't really like. And it's just like, dear God, just put the cup of coffee directly into my bloodstream because I got 10 hours of sleep last night and I'm just dragging. And I love that. That's a great distinction there. So...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and your body will make up the sleep later. I mean, it's okay if you're doing something you love, and it'll tell you when, come on, time out.
Well, and Dr. T, just to close really quickly here, you mentioned the T word that gets brought up all the time, especially as we get older, and quite often, especially for a lot of our female listeners, and that's thyroid. Can we talk about that in a little bit?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's important to understand that first of all, when that hypothalamus is not working, that controls your entire hormone system. Thyroid, testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, adrenal, the whole shebang there. And doctors, it's funny, they treat the blood test, but they often ignore the person. And they don't understand what normal means in a blood test. Normal just means that you're not in the highest or lowest 2% of the population. It says nothing about whether it's adequate. So if you have a shoe size, if I give you any shoe between size 5 and 13, it will be in the normal range. Now, if your doctor happens to be 6'4" and he weighs 250 pounds, and you are tired, achy, weight gain, cold intolerant, you're a poster child for low thyroid, he says, no, your thyroid test is normal, you're not off the deep end of the cliff yet. Give him a size 5 shoe and say, Doc, this is size 5 shoe is in the normal range. You wear this till the next visit so you know how I feel, and then let's talk. Go to a holistic doctor. Go to www.abihm.org, not .com, but .abihm.org. Find one of the thousands of holistic doctors near you who knows to treat you and not just the blood test.
I love it. And I also, correct me if I'm wrong here, Dr. T, but if we go up to your website, which is endfatigue.com, you actually have a pretty awesome energy analysis test up there. We can even plug in our lab results and get some insight right there online.
Absolutely. It's the energy analysis program. It's free. You take some simple quizzes. It will figure out, in your case, what you need to do to optimize your energy. And it even though you don't need the lab tests, if you have pertinent lab tests, it'll even analyze those and help, but usually the symptoms and blood tests point to the same things going on. So you do that test, it's going to say, here are the things you need to do so you can feel great. And even more fun, we used to do $400 to do that. And people kept back and they say, I have fibromyalgia, I can't afford anything. Finally we just made it free for everybody. And then we even adapted it so it's helpful for day-to-day fatigue. So it's free.
That's a good deal. So I love it. Well, Dr. T, thank you so much for joining us today. And certainly we've only scratched the surface. And folks, hopefully, as you can hear from his wonderful analogies and stories, and that he's a graduate of the Ohio State University, which I love, because I'm just kidding. I'm a Buckeye myself, so I got support for the Ohio love here. So Dr. T, thank you so much for joining us. And folks, if you want to learn more about Dr. Teitelbaum's work, please do check out his website, endfatigue.com. He's got a bunch of a new book coming out, all kinds of good stuff. And Dr. T, any closing words for our listeners?
I'm just going to repeat what I said before. You want to go ahead and increase your energy so you can go back to a life you love. Mm-hmm. Start paying attention to what things make you feel good and keep your focus on those.
Love it, love it, love it. Dr. T, thank you so much for joining us today.
Jonathan, you have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Listeners, I hope you enjoyed today's show as much as I did. And remember, this week and every week after, eat smarter, exercise smarter, and live better. Talk with you soon.